Really early, I would say, even though it's still humid. You got a heat advisory going into effect later this morning. It is going to be dangerously hot later. Let's talk about what this is going to mean regardless of development. So Jim just broke down kind of all those possibilities and what we're watching. But regardless of where it ends up tracking, we've got an envelope basically of tropical moisture that the models are in agreement about. So here's the European model. Here's our tropical moisture. You can see it. Look at that plume. This is the atmospheric moisture, and the oranges and the reds represented here. That is that deep tropical moisture that's going to enhance that heavy rainfall, enhance our rainfall chances as well. So here's the European model on Sunday. Plume of moisture just absolutely covering Florida. Now we're going to look at the American model for the atmospheric moisture. So two different long-range models kind of have the inputs a little different, how they have their outputs a little bit different. So they're both kind of trying to latch onto that wave and decide what they want to do with it. The American model is wanting to, as you can see, kind of develop it a little bit more, but still continue to put that deep tropical moisture, not just across Florida, but South Georgia, South Carolina. So I'd say across the southeast, the Gulf Coast, watch this very closely. Storms in the forecast for your weekend across Florida, possibility for flash flooding for places like Orlando, Fort Myers heading into Sunday. Again, those storms, and it's not going to be your typical sea breeze storms. It's going to be more like maybe rounds and rounds and rounds of rain and storms. Flash flooding possible from the Big Bend area all the way down into Southwest Florida, which of course we don't want to see any more rain. Fort Myers is more than 15 inches above average in terms of rainfall so far this year. So adding more onto that would just be even more of a mess for them, Jim.
And remember, stalling system means that those probabilities could easily.
Summer is typically peak time for wildfires, but they can happen any time of the year. We partnered with T-Mobile to bring you the science behind how wildfires begin so that you can be prepared. Meteorologist Alex Wilson has more. Thanks for staying with us on America's Morning Headquarters. Can you guys believe it? It is the first day of August. Where has the year gone? Some of us were bringing in the first day of August with robust storms. They were tearing through the Cornhusker State yesterday. Check out this time lapse from a camera in Ashland, Nebraska. Just look at that. We're talking about sheets of rain. Look at the darkness in the sky there, that steady wall of rain that's moving through. It's about 30 miles southwest of Omaha, where the Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium is partially closed today because of damage. More than 160,000 customers are still without power in Nebraska this morning. And when you look at a video like this, you can clearly see why those winds meant business. Not just that, but the hail that we saw, Jim, or Reynolds, it was a mess out there. And then, of course, we're not done with the severe threat today, but at least it's moving east. So those who dealt with it yesterday won't have to deal with it today.
Absolutely. One great point that you brought up earlier. Great point.
Back to you.
Thanks, Reynolds. Well, the Aurora Borealis beaming bright in some parts of the U.S. Meanwhile, we're standing on Mars right now.
Yes.
As geomagnetic storm watches are actually in place through today. But besides solar flares and the northern lights, there's also been a most unexpected discovery on Mars, and it wasn't Jim Cantori.
And who better to explain that to us and what we're seeing?